What it do, baby? Today we are going to be looking at a classic. Oh God, there's a mosquito flying around in here. Oh, I hate that. You know what? I was in here yesterday. I was going to film some, and I got devoured by a mosquito, and so I left. I was like, I'll do this tomorrow. And there's a mosquito here! I hate mosquitoes so much. Who likes mosquitoes? Mosquitoes are a-holes, and that's what today we are doing. Surprise microphone. We are looking at AITA, okay? We're looking at Am I the Asshole? That's what we're looking at today. And at some point, you're going to see me freak out and squish this damn mosquito that is flittering about. All right, let's go. AITA for pulling away from my identical twin sister, even though I know it has caused her to spiral. Okay. All right, an otherwise very tight relationship where, you're causing somebody else emotional stress, or your absence is causing them emotional stress. We don't know if you are directly doing that, but let's find out. I, 18 female, am an identical twin. Our parents encouraged and insanely close to the point of codependency relationship. You know what, dude? If this mosquito is flittering about in here, it has to go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a bug zapper. I'm going to put a bug zapper in here right now. I have a bug zapper. I'm putting it in here. And when I hear a snap, crackle, pop, a joyous day, I'm doing this. I'm putting a freaking bug zapper right there, dude. I'm doing that because I want to hear it. I want to hear when it dies. You're going to see. There's going to be a bug zapper in the back of this video now. Watch. I, 18 female, am an identical twin. Our parents encouraged an insanely close to the point of codependency relationship, and my sister fell hard into it while I resented the hell out of it. Our parents even named us super similarly. My sister is Katie and I'm Casey, and the spelling of my name was chosen intentionally. Our parents wanted us to match always. My parents and sister always expected us to do everything together. We shared a bedroom and bed our whole lives until June. That's when I packed up my stuff and I moved out of our parents' house. Our parents insisted every school we went to and every teacher we had that we'd be in the same class and sitting next to each other all year. When we had field trips, we were to be each other's buddy. If one was invited to a birthday party, then the other one was assumed to be invited too, regardless of whether they were or not. All our extracurriculars were the same, and it was effing miserable for me because I hated them. Those were all my sister's interests, not mine. Anytime I tried to set boundaries with my sister, she'd discard them and would carry on as normal. And normal for us was being codependent and super enmeshed. I was never very close to our parents, but I gave up on ever having a good relationship with them when I was 11, and they got mad at me for keeping a secret friend from my sister. They actually accused me of bullying because I wanted to keep a friend to myself. That's how bad things were. Okay, so you got no independence. It's been put on you to not have an independent life. That's interesting. My sister has always hated when someone liked me and wanted to be my friend, but didn't like her or want to be her friend. For my sister, we're one and the same. If you like one, you like both. She doesn't see us as our own individual people, just as twins. Identical twins who are alike in every single way possible. I remember being in the hospital when I was 14 and she wasn't allowed to stay with me, and my parents were removed from the hospital for abusing the staff over enforcing that rule of no minors overnight. Whoa! I was released after 2 days, and those were the best nights of sleep I had until that point. I also felt like I got some breathing room, which was needed. My sister never slept. She was an absolute mess because I wasn't there. It made me wish I could have stayed in the hospital indefinitely. Man, I'm sure it's not that you don't like your sister. I think it's just driving you nuts. I just feel like you're craving independence so much. We were supposed to go to the same college, live together, and our parents planned on bullying admin at our school of choice into assigning us as roommates. No, I don't think you can do that. Okay, I don't think that's a thing you can do. But then I acted like I wasn't going to college. I stayed with a friend and blocked my family for a while before me and my friend moved out of state to a community college. I just started everything. I got a job too, so I can support myself, which is also my reason for community college. I did unblock my sister, and it's been awful. I've debated whether I block her again or not, but if I do, I know it will be a forever thing. There's no doing it for now. If I block her again, I won't ever have a relationship with her again, so I'm trying not to and seeing if she can try and grow. Be specific. What is it that she's doing? What is it that she is doing that's causing you to, to feel this way? Like, I don't know. Your parents, I understand, but what is your sister doing? But she fell apart without me. She's already dropped out of college. She's back living with our parents. She has pleaded with me to come and take her home with me. Our parents used her phone to call me and say I'm awful for pulling away from my sister who needs me. They say I'm being abusive and accused of me trying to kill her with this. I can see her downward spiral, but I just can't be enmeshed with her for the rest of my life. I want to be me, not Katie's twin, Casey, AITA. I think there's a lot of information missing here. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you're just 18. You're finally out of that cycle, the first, 17, 18 years of your life where you have to go through the school system in a certain way. Now that you're 18, you can literally do whatever the hell you want. as long as it's not illegal, you can do whatever you want, you know? You can go no contact with your parents, with your sister and all that, but I'm missing the information of what is your sister like, you know? I see here that it says my sister's always expected us to do everything together, but what I'm getting a lot of is your parents were pushing this, not exactly your... Well, oh, no, wait, no. Anytime I tried to set boundaries with my sister, she'd discard them and would carry on as normal. Okay, so your sister would discard the boundaries. So like, for example, if you said something like, you know, I want to go to the bathroom, but I'm going to go by myself. And she's like, no, I'll go with you. That's not good, right? I want to go on a date tonight with this new guy that I met. Yeah, I'll be there too. What? I'm almost not completely buying this story because it's so vague. It's just like, you know, I set boundaries, my sister broke them. What does that mean? Be specific, you know? But if this is real, and I'm sure there's a situation where this could be real, it's like, if you need to go no contact, go no contact. But I think like really, really expressing to your twins, I think the first step here is like, forget the parents, you know, they have a different idea of what's going on, but being super clear with your twin sister and be like, I need you to understand something. I feel like a crazy person. I feel like I can't be my own person. I know we've known each other for the past 18 years and we're identical twins and we look alike and blah, 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 but I'm going nuts. I need my own independence. I need you to respect that or I will go no contact with you forever. You know, and the fact that you've already proven that you can block her is great. That means that you know what that is. You know how to do it. They've seen that you can do it. And that's a warning shot. You know, the next move is for them to take it seriously. And hopefully if you have a serious conversation with your sister and you say, I need to be my own person or else you better listen. You know what I'm saying? Better listen. Let's see what the comments are saying. I'm still stuck on the fact that they made you share a room and bed until 18. I'm sorry. I definitely missed that. What? We shared a bedroom and a bed our whole lives until... Oh, a bed? Yo, what? That's so inappropriate and weird for them to force. It's absolutely acceptable for twins to need space, and it's no wonder you're over it, Op. I'm just sorry you had to endure that for so long. NTA in any way. And then Op replied, they said they did it when we were babies and toddlers and thought it was such a cute idea and that we'd do it forever, basically. That's weird. You know, your parents are seeing you as like dolls to dress up. You know, that's a little strange, right? Send a message to your parents and sister and any other family that matters. You had two unique and different children. Instead of encouraging us to grow up into adults with our own individual interests and goals, you handicapped my sister and dismissed me entirely. Now you get to deal with the consequences. I recommend therapy for all of you. I will need it as well. For my personal growth, I am blocking you all for 6 months. I like this because it has a deadline. I like that because it's sending a clear message, and that's a long time. 6 months is a long time. I love you and wish you well. NTA, they made this mess. I'm proud of you. This is great. I love that. You need to be clear on this. They created the problem, and when they make demands on you to fix it, they drive you away further. Your twin was quite happy with you living in her shadow, her every whim imposed on you. If it had been more evenly balanced, then you might want to be a twin. As it was, you didn't, and nobody cared. NTA, live your life, block them for a prearranged time period. They will still be there at the end of that time. Yeah, you got a whole codependency thing, man. This next comment is a really interesting perspective. NTA, in the UK school system, they have it as a policy that twins get separated once they reach 11 years old. What? Oh, and parents have zero say at all. It's well known that twins are not actually identical, even physically. They develop differently and have completely different personalities. Your parents are truly awful people. This was abuse, pure and simple, and should have been reported as such. I know most social workers would have been horrified, as this is denying you your own identity. And then they talk about how, you know, you should go no contact, give yourself a sense of identity. Can you imagine she'd want to go on your honeymoon or not even want you to marry until she did? Well done for getting out. The alternative is too horrifying to contemplate. Yeah, I mean, it's like you're sharing a potato sack, like a three-legged race, you know, and you can only go as slow as the other person for your entire life, dude. What is that, you know? Wow, what a strangely unique situation. Next story. AITA, if I told my wife it is not my fault she doesn't know how to use a knife. This happened literally a few minutes ago. Why are you on Reddit? Don't do that. Take care of your wife. She just cut herself, presumably. But let's see, let's read. My wife was preparing some vegetables for a meal and I heard her gasp in pain. I come into the kitchen and she yells at me, "How many times did I tell you to not sharpen those knives?" Pause. First of all, a dull knife is a dangerous knife. That's the truth. Sharper knives are safer because if you're using a dull knife and it's not quite getting through, you're going to use more force. It's more likely to injure you. A dull knife is a dangerous knife. Okay? She cuts herself pretty regularly when preparing food, and I admit that I like my knives to be sharp. Not like extra sharp, but just enough so you don't struggle cutting tomatoes. And every time she cuts herself, she blames me because they are too sharp. This morning, I was in a bad mood and told her, why don't you use a cutting board? Why do you have to cut the vegetables against your thumb? Oh, so she's going like this. I see. Okay, like that little, like she's whittling wood into her hand or something. Then she replies, oh, of course, it's my fault. Well, it is. It is your fault. To which I replied, don't blame me because you don't know how to use a knife. And now she's mad at me. P.S. The cut isn't deep. Just a small bandage and it was over. I've cut myself on a knife a couple of times. I think I have like almost a deformity in my finger here. I don't know. You can't see it, but one time I was cutting frozen bread. I'll freeze bread sometimes because it lasts longer, but this bread was not like, coming apart. And so I had to cut it with a really, really sharp knife. And I messed myself up. It was serrated. It was a serrated blade and I really just went deep in there. And I've got it's a little divot in my finger. But guess what? Nobody was around. My house, my knife, and my mistake. I should not be cutting frozen bread like that. And you shouldn't be cutting vegetables that way, and just take a cooking class. Honestly, what would fix all of this? If you just took one cooking class with your wife and they show you knife skills on day one. You got to make the claw and you got to chop vegetables up against the claw and they'll show you how to cut an onion. They'll show you all kinds of stuff. How to julienne a carrot. Yeah, I know what the word julienne means. I'm full of surprises. I don't think you're the a-hole for telling her she needs to know how to use a knife, but I do think y'all need to move towards something productive because she's going to be missing a couple fingers as the years go on. You don't want her to have these bad habits right now. Let's say she gets into her 70s and 80s and she's just got a couple nubbins left. She can't open doors by herself. She can't write a letter. At that point, it's your fault for not sitting her down and taking her to a class. I think just take a cooking, make something fun out of it. See if you can laugh it off and be like, you know what, dude? I think we both could use let's take a cooking class together. I think that'd be great. And then going from there. That's what I think. But let's see. NTA ex-chef here. Sharp knives, when used correctly, are less dangerous than dull knives. It reduces the chances of slipping when sharp. Well, the idiot doesn't use a cutting board, quite literally directs the blade towards her thumb and then gets angry that the blade, in fact, goes into the thumb. I mean, she ain't the smartest cookie in the jar, the sharpest knife in the block. Yeah, she's got to learn. Right? I mean, you got to do something to get her to educate herself because she's just going to hurt herself. This is your wife. You should love her, I can't imagine being in a marriage where all you do is lance at each other of like who's the more intelligent person the entirety of your relationship. That's so many marriages. Yeah, she's wrong because blah, blah, blah. I'm running to Reddit for something that happened a few minutes ago. You took the time to write this freaking poem of just all these separate lines, And it's like, I don't know, man. I assume you're frustrated, and it looks like this has happened a lot, and your wife seems to be really stubborn, saying like, oh, of course, it's my fault. It is your fault. It is the wife's fault. Let's be clear about that. It's the wife's fault. And saying that it's your fault for sharpening the knives is like the exact opposite of true, So that's freaking ridiculous. But the fact that your instinct is to run to Reddit is just funny to me. I don't know. It's just a few minutes after it happened, like while she's nursing her open wound. You know what I saw the other day? It was a YouTube video of an ultrasonic knife. Did you guys see this? I saw this video right here. I saw this video, freaking dude. Look at this.
It's a mission. I hear it when it's on, and you can't feel any vibration.
Look at this.
This is the world's first ultrasonic chef.
The mosquito's right there. This isn't working at all. I saw the mosquito right there. Oh, God, it's still in here. Come on! I saw it fly right behind the dude. Okay, here's the ultrasonic
knife.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at the way that it just cuts through like nothing.
Electric toothbrush. But when you touch this button, it transforms from a regular knife into an extraordinary one.
That's insane. Cutting through a grape like that, dude? They did surgery on a grape. And then here we go. And then just to wrap this story up here, it says NTA, if she keeps cutting herself, she needs to change the way she cuts things. Huh. All right, going on to the next story. AITA because I won't go to my dad's house during mom's custody weeks to check in on his pregnant wife. I think my dad's being an a-hole about everything, but I want to be sure people don't think I'm one too. My dad cheated on my mom with his wife, Lou. They had an affair for 4 or 5 years or something crazy like that. Lou was engaged to someone else, and she was having an affair with my dad too, and Lou got pregnant, which is why they told my mom and Lou's fiance. They thought dad was the father of Lou's kid, but he wasn't. Lou's ex didn't want to be involved in the baby's life after his life imploded, so my dad adopted Lou's baby and raises her as his kid. Dad already has me, a 16-year-old female, and my brother, 19, from his marriage to mom. We don't like dad after everything that happened. Oh, really? I'm making light. Sorry, that sucks, He chose her over us a lot during the affair because times he said he'd come to my shows or my brother's games, he would miss them. He wasn't around on weekends to see us either. He covered by saying he was working extra hours now and needed to because things were getting so expensive. Mom believed him too. It sucked at the time not having him there, and even for our birthdays, he was a no-show those years. It was worse when we found out why. He didn't just hurt Mom, but he abandoned us for someone else. I think the two of them are, this word, to do stuff like that, and I called them both that to their faces before, which my dad didn't like. I don't think whether or not your dad likes something is a good assessment on the situation. Who cares if your dad likes it or not? He's freaking. Ugh. What I hate the most is I have to keep going to his house every other week until I turn 18. My mom and brother tried to get custody to change so he could stop going, and it didn't work. And Mom and I tried a few times too. Even at 16, they won't listen to me and accept I don't want to see Dad. Mom was threatened by a judge with a loss of custody and maybe jail if she didn't comply and make me go and stay there. Dad was warned of the same thing. My brother tried to push against it once anyway, and Dad called the cops, and it was a whole scene until my brother gave in. Your brother's 19 now, though, so he doesn't have to do this anymore. It's BS, honestly. And if I spend all my time doing other stuff, my dad takes my stuff away for his week and tries to ground me. Dad and Lou only considered stopping the fight for custody because me and my brother don't treat Lou's kid like a sibling, and I don't help them with her. I don't spend any time with the kid, and I'm not polite to Dad or Lou. In family therapy, I told them I would never be a family with them, and I was going no contact like my brother has. That's all the background, but there's something else. Lou has epilepsy, and she's pregnant, and there have been some issues since she got pregnant this time, and she had to stop working and take it easy, and they have a nurse that checks on her, and Dad calls. But Dad said the nurse doesn't come often enough for him, and he wants me to check on Lou and make sure she's okay, and I refuse to do it. On Mom's time, he can't make me, but even on his time, I just stay out after school. My dad told me it was dangerous to have nobody checking on her, and I told him I didn't care, and he was asking the wrong person to care. This is a 16-year-old girl, man. You cheated on her mom, and you didn't show up to, you're an absence, not the right word. You're a deadbeat. Sort of, in a way. You're just obnoxious and annoying. Your daughter feels how she feels, bro. And she feels that way for completely valid, justifiable reason, Yeah, and you want her to babysit your new lady? Everything aside, we have a pregnant woman here with epilepsy, and the dad is trying to take care of her and make sure that the baby is fine and all this stuff. And so it looks like they had a kid that the dad adopted that was the ex's kid. And there's another baby on the way that is their actual child now. So this is this girl, this 16-year-old's half sibling about to be born. And she just doesn't care at all about all this. Again, for good reason. My dad said I can hate them, but should want them alive and healthy. And so I don't go. Does that make me the a-hole? For people who ask, my brother doesn't go either, and he was asked too, meaning as well. Yeah, I don't know. You don't want to check in on your dad's new pregnant spouse. I mean, you're planning on going no contact, right? And I don't know. Sounds like your dad's got to make a little bit more money, and he's got to get the nurse there more often. That's what it sounds like, because he is now in a situation. He's trying to force you to do something that's not really in your purview. For example, she starts seizing. Is that on you at 16? And I've never thought about epileptic pregnancies. That's a really interesting thing. Like, imagine how dangerous that must be for the baby if you're seizing. I wonder if that affects the baby. It's got to, right? Okay, according to Stanford, although pregnancy does not cause epilepsy, women with epilepsy tend to have seizures more often in pregnancy. Epilepsy and the medicines to treat it can have many effects on the mother, the pregnancy, and the developing baby. Most women with epilepsy are able to have a healthy pregnancy and baby. Okay, fascinating. I didn't know that. Something I never had to think about before. So, yeah, the dad's nervous. But I mean, at this point, dude, the dad has already made his choice. You already made your choice. Kind of, in a way, like you're not showing up to games and you're not showing up to recitals or rehearsal, I don't know. I'm trying to think in like movie terms, like if I were watching this as a piece of fiction. If I'm sitting in a movie theater and I'm seeing a dad who has a rocky marriage, he falls in love with somebody else, but he still shows up for his kids, that is a slightly different situation, right? It's still bad. It's still wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's still different because you can be a horrible spouse, but a good parent, I think. But this ain't that. This isn't that. This is a guy who was like an absent father in a way. He would say he would come to things and he wouldn't. Not a good dude, right? Not a good dad. Bad, horrible husband. No. To the 16-year-old who wrote this, no, you're not the a-hole. I feel bad for you. See the comments here. NTA, that's his job, not yours. Simple, I agree. And then the op replied, she said, that's what mom told him when I showed her all the texts he sends about this. He didn't like that, and they ended up fighting over it, but mom defended me and my brother. That's good. You are a child. They won't even allow you to make the decision about how much time you spend with your father. Why on earth would they then decide you were responsible enough to care for a pregnant woman with a high-risk pregnancy and other medical concerns? NTA. NTA, I would see if your mom would challenge the custody again whenever possible, and maybe a different judge will have a different view on you choosing which parent you want to spend time with. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but I'm just hoping. Yeah, also maybe like look at another lawyer, maybe. I don't know. Especially with those texts, he's trying to parentify you. You guys actually taught me that term, parentification. Right? He's like having you, well, you're not parenting a child, you're parenting his new wife and unborn child. Is that parentification? Who knows? Hey, 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 hey. Anyway, just a little vibe there. Just a little vibe for you guys. Next story, AITA for not picking up my ex's daughter from school when I picked up our son. We got a little boundary thing here going. We got a little responsibility. A little responsibility check in here. Let's see what's going on. Ex cheated on me when I was pregnant with our son. And because of this, he has a daughter with his affair partner, now wife. And they're the same age. Our son is 8. The daughter is 8. We are not on good terms. Oh, and I do not have a relationship with my ex's daughter. I have never spoken a word to her or spent any significant time in her presence. Ex and I split custody 50-50 of our son. Yeah, because it's not, it's not your kid. It is, however, your son's half-sister. It is your son's half-sister. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the school during his custody time stating nobody had picked up our son from school and asking if I would. Uh-oh. That's pretty irresponsible, isn't it? When I got to the school, my ex's daughter was also there, and the teacher was with her. She told me I was on the approved list for pickup for ex's daughter and asked, would I take both kids? I said no, and I told her I did not want to be on the list as I would never pick up the other child up from school. She told me she would pass the word along and it would be taken care of, and I had to call to follow up on this. My ex never told me he or his wife added me to the authorized pickup list for his daughter. When he realized I had not picked up his daughter with her son, he was furious. Well, why weren't you? It was your time. He asked me how I could leave her behind when I would have our son unplanned anyway. I'm not sure what that sentence means. I told him via our parenting app that I picked up our son as I would always do if needed, but his daughter is not my child and I will not be their emergency school pickup. I think that's a fair boundary to set. From the perspective of an 8-year-old girl, it sucks, but I think they need to have a conversation with that 8-year-old girl and be like, hey, this is the situation, she is his mom, but she's not your mom, she's not your mom, and it's a complicated situation, and so she is just his mom. And that's that. According to him, my ex's daughter was there until 7 because I refused to pick her up with our son. Actually, no, it's because you didn't pick them up. It was your custody week. It has nothing to do with this woman. She's a child, and I understand that's not ideal. I don't feel bad per se, but I wonder if I would be considered an a-hole for being unwilling to do it this once. This is not something I want to be a regular thing, and it's the first time it's ever happened. Ex-wife was apparently delayed out of town, and ex was working, AITA. As far as being an able-bodied adult who was able to pick up a child and help a family in a crappy time, in any other situation, it'd be like, yeah, I don't know. But this is somebody who cheated on you and got pregnant with his lady, and the kid is behind it. It's not up to you to clean up their messes. And this is a mess that they left behind, meaning they forgot to pick up their kid. I'm different in a way that, well, maybe I'm not different. Personally, dude, I love kids, and I think I would be able to, do a favor this one time because it's not the kid's fault. And growing up, my parents were divorced and stuff and all that. And I, the kids, I'm looking at a mosquito right there. It's one of those mosquitoes with the multi-striped tails too, dude. This is not working at all. This is not where mosquito's taunting me. I want to hear a zap so bad. It's not going to happen. It makes me sad. The saga continues. I forgot what I was talking about. Hold on, I just saw something fall. Did it work? Not yet. I truly could be hallucinating. I don't know. I want it dead so bad. Should I get like a mosquito repellent thing, like a one of those candles? But I don't want that in here. It'll stink. Are you the a-hole? I don't know. You didn't pick up a kid that was there and was left behind, but it's really not your responsibility, and you don't want to start that habit. You're sending a very clear message. You're sending a clear message to your ex of, no, I will never, ever be responsible for your kid, even if that means they're staying behind at school under teacher supervision until 7 p.m. Because that's on you. That's on you. That's on the parent. And they should have somebody, truly, they should have somebody else on their emergency contact list. This should not be you. Let's see what the audience says, because when it comes to kids, I'm very easily persuaded to what is most beneficial for the kid. But I've never been scorned, in a relationship where I've been cheated on and then my partner had a kid with somebody else. So I don't know what that feels like, right? And, I assume the anger and the rage that this woman must feel is super just, okay? So I don't know, but let's see what the comments say. I'm very curious. This has 14,000 upvotes, so let's see. According to him, my ex's daughter was there until 7 because I refused to pick her up with our son. No, that was not because of you. He should have gone himself. Yep. That seems correct to me. Exactly, the daughter was there because he didn't pick her up. Imagine putting your ex as an emergency pickup for your affair baby. The audacitrix. And then here we see she was there until 7 because both of her parents chose to ignore multiple calls from the school and make other arrangements. NTA, they added you to the list without asking you first? The audacity, especially considering the circumstances of the divorce. Ex was working. Eh? Then he can jolly well leave work to handle his own responsibilities rather than saddle you with them. Invite them to kiss both sides of your ass and grow the F up. I was blown away when she told me. Why me? And did they seriously want their daughter left in my care or think I'd want her in my care? It's the way neither of them answered calls from the school either. That's why I was contacted to begin with. It's all documented anyway, but I'm hoping they don't try to add me back onto her pickup list. You know what? I have 2 half-sisters, and they're my sister. I have 2 half-sisters. I have 2 step-sisters. So I have 4 sisters, and I have, a brother. And I have met my half-sister's mom, I think like twice in my life. And it was fine, but no, she wasn't a part of my life at all growing up, thinking about it. So, and it wasn't this situation. But yeah, I guess in a way, you don't need, I'm close with my sisters, I think. My sister just texted me now. Her son is doing well at soccer. Yeah, great. I guess you don't need to have a relationship with your half-sister's parent in any way to have a good relationship with your half-sibling. So I guess this is all right. Yeah, it's just a weird situation. It's such a crazy situation. But, I hope that the son and the daughter, I hope that they have a good relationship because they're going to, they're siblings. You want to have a good relationship with your siblings. So I hope it doesn't affect their interpersonal relationship, but it's going to feel weird. NTA, I feel bad for that other kid, but that's not your responsibility at all. Okay, so that's what it is. You do feel bad for the kid, but it's not your responsibility. It's up to their parents, right? Also, him not picking up your kid, that's bad. Make sure you document that in case you need to rework custody. Agree. I agree. I'm agreeing with that, boy. Wow, he can't even pick up his affair baby, nor can his affair partner. Sad for the kid, but this is all on your POS X. They can't even answer the phone when the school calls. I do think this should be documented. We're going to go over to eye bleach for a second, because golly, All right, we got a cat versus a fly situation in here. Yeah, just play with it. Dude, whenever a bug flies in, I wish my cats were back here right now, because they would have handled this mosquito situation. My boys will stare at a bug and they will destroy it, dude. One time when they were kittens, little kittens, I had a spider in my house and I was geeking out. I didn't like it. Okay. And I wanted to see what my cats would do. So I picked up one of the cats. It was gray. And I just held him up to the spider just to see what he would do. And he took his head against the wall. Say that this black thing here, this little stand here is the wall. Took his head against the wall and just boop. And he just nudged the spider with his nose. And the spider immediately died. Immediately died, dude. Just freaking dead instantly. Just insta-kill this spider. My cat did. And then I was like, oh, this is the best purchase I've ever made. I didn't even buy the cats. They just became mine. Cats are such good pest control. Have you ever seen videos of cats killing tarantulas, dude? No wonder they were worshipped in ancient Egypt. Here we go, another story. Am I the a-hole for blowing up on my husband because he keeps eating my emergency snacks after I've asked him not to? Pause. Snacks are just, you don't go there. Okay, don't eat my food, all right? You can't mess with my food right now. Today, I, 29 female, blew up on my husband, 31 male, for eating my emergency snacks that I keep for hypoglycemia episodes. Okay, so when you have low blood sugar and you're about to go down, you need those snacks. I am currently 19 weeks pregnant. Okay, so you also have a baby on the way. Now you're messing with a hypoglycemic pregnant lady's food. Not a good combination, I would say. I am currently 19 weeks pregnant with my second baby. In my last pregnancy, during the glucose test they do to see if you have gestational diabetes, they discovered that I actually do have hypoglycemia. This makes a lot of sense due to symptoms I experienced even before pregnancy. Well, during pregnancy, it is much worse. I have to eat at least every couple of hours to keep my energy levels up. Even doing this, sometimes I get hypoglycemic episodes out of nowhere. They are terrible to experience. I get the shakes and start to sweat, getting hot flashes. I feel like I'm going to pass out, lose coordination, and get brain fog. I keep a handful of specific snacks in the house and car for when I am experiencing these symptoms. The insatiable hunger I feel during an episode is terrible. It's like I ran a marathon while fasting. My husband is really selfish when it comes to food, to put it bluntly. He's always eating my leftovers. If there's something we buy that we both enjoy, he eats the majority of it and leaves little for me. What? Don't do that. And she's pregnant? What, dude? Stop that. Don't do that. That's weird. Get your own food. What the frick, dude? Well, he's gotten into the habit of eating my emergency snacks. I started buying double so he could have his and I'd have my own. But he eats everything so much faster and in greater quantities than me. He will eat mine without even asking. I've had this conversation with him so many times it's tiring to please not eat my designated snacks unless he asks. He really doesn't think it's a big deal. Today I started to not feel good, so I went to grab one of my snacks only to find out he had taken it. I called him at work to see if he really did take it, and he said he did because he was running late to work and just needed to grab something easy. I blew up on him. Yeah, of course. What's wrong with this guy, dude? Is he addicted to food? You know, this is weird. He doesn't believe that this is important for some reason. Why? I'm tired from pregnancy, hormonal, and chasing around a toddler all day. You don't need to justify anything. You've already said enough. Yes, we have other food in the house, but I keep these snacks because they're easy for me and boost my nutrition quickly. It seems so silly to be upset over food. No, because food is what helps you survive, and you're hypoglycemic and you're carrying a baby. So no, it's not silly at all. But I've exhausted myself having this conversation with him. He always says he will just replace the food, but that doesn't help me in the moment I need it. I admittedly yelled at him and told him not to talk to me when he gets home and to figure out dinner for himself. So I guess my question is, AITA for being so upset over snacks? Obviously, no. That's my thinking. We'll see if Reddit agrees or disagrees, but this has over 1,000 comments here and on only 8,000 upvotes. So people are really talking about this. This got people lit up in the comments. Let's see what they say. Hypoglycemia can harm your baby, and his desire for a snack does not take precedence over your need for one. In fact, it's incredibly selfish of him. I would show him articles on the effects of hypoglycemia on a growing fetus, NTA. So, guess what? Hypoglycemia during pregnancy? Bad. What a discovery. Is the thing around me? It is. It is. It is! It's trying to get my head! I missed! It's over there. It's on that side of the room, though. I was trying to get my neck! Suck the blood from my neck! We got a Dracula mosquito in here. Do your job! NTA, there are so many stories on this platform about men who eat their partner's snacks, and it's almost always is abusive. This is a respect thing, and he has none for you. Yeah, that's right. He's not listening to her. She's expressing a need. She's expressing a concern. He's dismissing it. That's bad, you know? That's bad. That's not good. It's not healthy. You have to believe when somebody tells you something is important to them. Because if you don't believe that, the relationship will suffer, obviously. It shows you don't respect them, obviously. And some people need that wake-up call. NTA, I'd be locking him up. Yeah, put him in a safe. Put him in a little safe with a fingerprint reader, dude. It's not about the snacks, though. It's the complete lack of self-restraint, consideration for his pregnant wife. Yeah. And disregard for your health and the unborn baby's health. Your husband is an unkind man. The thing is, he has to see it. He has to learn that somehow. How do you learn that? I think there has to be a consequence. There does. There has to be an actual consequence. Not a talk, a consequence. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that is, but he has to learn it, you know? This mosquito is going to be the death of me, you guys. You're going to see me in the next episode just swollen up, just like bulbous everywhere from bug bites. Frankly, this would be divorce territory for me if he wasn't willing to go to counseling immediately. He's putting you, your baby, and your toddler at risk. If something happens to you, your toddler will be unsupervised and unable to help you. Yeah, because you could faint, you could pass out. It affects your ability to think, is something we just saw. You are severely underreacting, in my opinion. Please protect yourself and your kids. NTA, and that has 1,000 upvotes. So if you're reading this and you sometimes steal your partner's snacks and, let's say they're pregnant, maybe don't. Maybe don't do that. You know what, guys? How about we hit you with a little outro?